Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you warm greetings and independence greetings from our Prime Minister of the Federation, the Honorable. I'm doing a quiz. I expect you to call me. I expect you to call his name. Dr. Timothy Harris. I also bring you greetings, independence greetings, from our Premier, the Honorable Mark A.G. Brantley. And I also bring you greetings on my own behalf, Hazel Brandy-Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a pleasure for me to be here this evening. And I must commend, first of all, your Vice President, Mr. Keynes, and also the Vice President, Dr. Shirley Glassford, and all other persons who have put this fine gathering together this evening. I know it is no easy task to keep associations together over such long periods. And so, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to say how very delighted I am to have been afforded the opportunity to address you at this, your 20th annual Independence Dinner and Ball, which seeks to commemorate our 35th year of nationhood. Indeed, these are two monumental milestones that are worthy of celebration. It is truly comforting to know that even though we are physically separated by hundreds of miles of water, that you have not allowed such distance to take St. Kitts and Nevis away from you. And we see that constant love for country manifesting itself in the colorful celebrations here this evening. I find it very commendable. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and salute yourselves. Salute yourselves for keeping this august body together for over 20 years, or this your 20th anniversary. The achievement of independence is most symbolic and profound in the life of any country. This annual celebration is just as significant because it reminds us of the importance of our sovereignty and the struggles of generations of outstanding Kittitians and Nevisians whose contributions allow us to enjoy a peaceful, stable, and prosperous society. However, the celebration of our independence is of utmost importance for yet another reason. Most critically, it reminds us of the important obligation of our citizenship. This badge of citizenship, which we wear so proudly, comes with numerous rights, but also serious responsibilities. Responsibilities not merely to self, but also to country. 57 years ago, then President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, at his inauguration ceremony, placed a vital matter before his people for consideration. In simple yet powerful language, he pleaded, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but rather ask what you can do for your country." I adopt and adapt these words this evening, and I ask, and I ask you, ask not what St. Kitts and Nevis can do for you, but instead ask what you can do for St. Kitts and Nevis. The answer to the latter portion of that statement is clearly articulated and encapsulated in your theme this evening, which implores all of us to love and serve our country with patriotism and pride. It is an incontrovertible fact that our nation has made immense progress since independence in 1983. On every index of material measurement, there have been tremendous accomplishments. We see these advances before our very eyes in the areas of education, healthcare, housing, physical infrastructure, and the list continues. But these gains in our socio-economic development did not happen by chance, nor by accident. To be sure, the initial foundation of these achievements was built on the service and sacrifice of the early stalwarts who often, without compensation and sometimes without commendation, toiled tirelessly so that we could live a better life previously unknown to them. Stalwarts such as the early trade unionists who fought for better working conditions and workers' rights. Stalwarts such as our early pioneers in education who, with very little, educated so many. And stalwarts such as our national heroes who fought fearlessly to build a better St. Kitts and Nevis, even in the most trying of circumstances. Their spirit of service and sacrifice must be transmitted to future generations if our federation is to ascend to the next level of development. Development, my brothers and sisters, I dare say, cannot and should not be the sole responsibility of government. All of our citizens, whether at home or abroad, who profess to love for St. Kitts and Nevis must play a part and should be eager to participate in our country's growth and development. One of the things which I am most passionate about and which I have made an important plank of my own policy since becoming a minister of government is to try and reinvigorate, firstly, the basic ethos of volunteerism amongst our citizens, and secondly, to build our community groups and institutions so that our people at the grassroots level could have and could take greater pride and ownership of development within our communities. This is critical because in our nation state, where the motto is country above self, we must remind each and every Kittitian and Nevisian that at the core of all citizenship is an unwritten duty to not only engage in acts of self-service, but also to engage in acts of national service as well. There is one initiative in particular which the NIA, or the Nevis Island Administration, through its Department of Youth, has rolled out, and it is entitled COMSERVE, C-O-M-M-S-E-R-V-E. It is a deliberate play on the words come, serve, and it implies community, whereby we encourage our youth to come and serve their communities. This is done in conjunction with the Education Department, local businesses, community groups, and various other entities who will be able to draw from a pool of young persons to undertake volunteer work in the society. For our existing youth parliamentarians, there is also a volunteerism component, where, for example, last year they were required to visit the Alexandra Hospital and the Flamboyant Home, and they looked after the elderlies there for a day. Next year, we may wish to indulge our youth parliamentarians in an island pride component, whereby we involve them in the refurbishment of some of our prized historical sites. The underlying concept here is to help our citizens, especially the younger generation, to appreciate the importance of service. To appreciate the importance of service and the significance of hinging their efforts to a cause that is larger than themselves. This is a type of attitude and approach which must be adopted by all citizens, young and old, Kitishans and Nevisians, resident or abroad, if our nation is to be able to surmount its challenges and achieve its full potential. And therefore, to that end, the diaspora is also a vital agency for our development thrust. And you have a most critical contribution to make. And let me reiterate, the diaspora within which you find yourselves is very important to help us with our development thrust. Your job is critical, and your contribution is critical in helping to service the needs of a country that has given you so much. Many of you, during your time spent in this, your second home, have acquired vital contacts and developed critical networks which can be of great utility to St. Kitts and Nevis. Through these contacts and networks, you may thus be able to help us source internship opportunities for our students, which can help them to develop their talents, gain much needed exposure, and broaden their horizons. Some of you who hail from a particular community, whether it's Combermere or Cox in Nevis, or whether it's Connery or Molyneux in St. Kitts, I'm asking you, I'm saying to you that the onus is on you to bond yourself together and adopt a school, adopt a child, adopt a family, and assist them, and that in turn will help to develop our St. Kitts and Nevis. Those of you from a medical background or whatever the nature of your profession may wish to take inspiration from Dr. Spencer Amory, one of our very own, who, though he has established himself as a renowned health professional in the Mecca of New York, returns to his native St. Kitts and Nevis each year to conduct free colon cancer screenings at our local hospitals. This is what love for your country and service with patriotism and pride is all about. That no matter how much you have achieved personally or how far you've tread physically, the ability to still remember that basic sense of civic duty to your homeland. And I wish to say to you, in the same manner in which size has not limited the achievements of St. Kitts and Nevis, your physical distance does not impede the manner in which you can serve and impact the fortunes of our precious land of beauty. I am reminded of the late great Nelson Mandela, who was so dedicated to the cause of building a better South Africa that not even 27 years behind bars on an isolated island could have stunted his spirit of love and service to his country. And so, during that time, he turned his prison cell into a study hall where he educated his fellow prisoners and built the liberation movement against apartheid. If Nelson Mandela was imbued with such profound love for his country that he could still continue even in the most stringent of circumstances, then ask yourself, what then will be your contribution to the future development of St. Kitts and Nevis. Just last year, the Leeds West Indian Carnival celebrated its 50th anniversary as a critical cog of cultural exchange and entertainment. The founder of this marquee event is a Nevisian, Mr. Arthur France, and he was honored for his vision and foresight in bringing this concept to fruition. Mr. France left Nevis for England in 1957, but so firmly planted were the roots of his patriotism in his veins that he decided to take some of St. Kitts and Nevis with him, and he introduced it to the world in fine style. The Leeds West Indian Carnival, engineered by Mr. France, is a prime example of how Kittitians and Nevisians can serve their country with pride, because today that carnival celebration stands as a shining testimony to our rich West Indian traditions and African ancestry. I pause here to recognize the dancers who were on stage earlier. I see that they would have brought with them a part of the St. Kitts culture. When I looked at them, I remember the renowned dance group, Okolo Tegramantin Dance Theatre. I am certain that most of you would have known of Okolo. And when I saw them dancing, it reminded me of that dance group. And so it is, for me, it is very good that you have continued to sharpen your culture and you would have walked with it from St. Kitts. If Mr. France, through what began as just a simple and noble thought, could bring international acclaim to our country in such a wholesome and timeless manner, then I ask you again, what will be your contribution to St. Kitts and Nevis? If two of our most favored sons in the persons of Sir Kennedy and Sir Simeon could rise from humble beginnings to lead their nation, the smallest in the Western Hemisphere, to a new era of independence and a plethora of opportunities, in what way will you seek to serve St. Kitts and Nevis? Let there be no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that we all have a contribution to make, and in making that contribution, we must do it and do it well. The theme of love, service, patriotism, and pride must serve not merely as a transient message, but a permanent call for action, whereby not only do we offer ourselves to serve St. Kitts and Nevis in whatever the capacity, but that we exhibit pleasure in rendering such service. Consequently, as custodians to this great nation, we must all, at all times, exhibit an unquenchable thirst for excellence. We must do everything in style and in grand style. And I dare say that we are doing it in grand style this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, again, applaud yourselves.